Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with James Nicholas Kinney. James, great to connect with you. I'm looking forward to talking about two businesses of yours. One, you as the Global Chief People Officer at Media Monks, billion-dollar company, and also you as the founder of Advertising Alliance for Mental Health.
Thank you, John.
So, thanks for being here. And I thought we could, before we dive into those, I wanted to chat with you, in your business. I'm a business coach. I work with successful people who are stuck and get them unstuck. And so I always like to kind of start off for the listener, to kind of get into a story that can get them unstuck. And so where in your business, as we sit here today recording in, the first half of 2023, where have you been stuck and how have you gotten unstuck?
I think an untraditional answer is going to be stuck in success, right? Which breeds safety and security. Yeah. So I think that's where both of the businesses are stuck. My executive career, I work for the godfather of advertising, person who really created the modern model of advertising. And we're 5 years old, 9,000 employees, $1 billion in revenue, and already barking up the tree of major ad agencies. So with that much success, change management and transformation of that many people is a large macro challenge. Part of my job as a business operator on the executive team is to work through the merger processes, build out the SOPs and the processes, and continue the scale. But I tell you what, John, it is a masterclass, if you will, in working through different approaches to what success looks like and how to continue. Then in my personal life, because I always have to have something that I'm anchored into creatively, Advertising Alliance for Mental Health, it's brand new, only a couple months old. And I was the ad industry's therapist, which is an amazing thing that Ad gave me that title. We already have about 1,000 members, but my goal is to hit 100,000. So I could use your help on how.
All right. I can help you with that.
And further build the scale. So those are the two things that I've got going on right now. And I think they complement each other.
It's interesting, James, because one of the things I talk to my clients about is I hear this a lot, right? Stuck in success and stuck in the business. And, how do I work on my business? And I think it's really, really important. One of the things I advise, and I work with, C-level execs and owners and leadership teams, managers, salespeople, solopreneurs to Fortune companies. But I think it's really, really important that that people take whatever time it is, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, where you create a space for yourself to be still and to be silent and just think, right? Whether it's going for a walk and being able to reflect, to kind of dissect an idea, phone free ideally, and then be able to let new things come in through you. So that quiet time, that executive time, that is something we got to use. I always suggest to my clients, use your calendar and make an appointment with yourself, because that time is critical. That time is critical. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That was great. All right, let's talk about you. Before we talk about Media Monks, I want to talk about Advertising Alliance for Mental Health, because it is Mental Health Awareness Month as we record this live in May 2023. We could dive into a lot of post-COVID studies on mental health, and it is, very high. I know, and I've interviewed a lot of therapists on the show who tell me they can't even take on new clients. They're so busy. Mental health is in a great way at the forefront of our minds every single day. And so, what are you not only seeing, but how are you helping, the individuals that are coming to you to figure out their way of getting back to center?
Well, I think it's important to start with the following. When I was 30, I was in a toxic workplace and I did a complete crash and burn. Anxiety, depression, 3 years of medication, panic attacks, being trapped in my home. It was really, really bad. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I missed birthdays. I missed weddings. It's sad when you really think about the road that I've come from. But now that I'm 45 and I've been able to really rebuild my life, get to the top of the executive world, I wanted to build a platform that would literally give back to people that's free. It's not a nonprofit, just because I think there's stigmas that come along with a nonprofit. But I put up my own cash, my own capital, and I built a platform that has free mental health courses. Because Jon, just like you're a teacher and an educator, right? Like that's what a coach does. But a coach sticks with you, right? Through that transformation process. So I created courses for people to learn about stress, learn about anxiety, learn about mental health. And then I created 52 weekly affirmations. So just like you said, every Monday morning, people get an email that's under 5 minutes. And it's a podcast-like audio, breathing exercise and meditation that I lead. I went to a Hollywood quality recording studio. And over the course of like 6 weeks, I went in every weekend and I recorded 52 individual breathing exercises, meditations, and affirmations, and people love them. So Advertising Alliance for Mental Health, you're going to help me figure out how to scale it. But essentially, I made it so that people can get that Monday start the right way. It's free. There's no catch. Private data, personal data is secure. There's no spam. And I just send that every Monday, right? Just like Scott Galloway, like the big greats that have like the huge newsletters. I just wanted to do something that was really dope that would help people kick off their Monday in the right way. And then I'm going to add courses over time. And then eventually I'll have people like you come on for group community coaching calls. But I need to build the audience first. So I did the Advertising Alliance for Mental Health for that reason. Ad industry is facing major burnout. So going back to what I'm seeing with mental health, it is burnout. If you look at the time that we're spending on our phones, 10 hours a day, social media, doom scrolling, the news literally is the blues. And I mean that with all musical puns. It's very difficult for a solo entrepreneur or someone like me in the C-suite of a large corporation to focus on work at all. Because you don't know if there's a new pandemic coming next week out of nowhere, if Russia's going to drop a nuke, Democrats and Republicans both, mass shootings. Literally, I don't know about you, Jon, but I was at a restaurant with my son eating pizza, and I had a legitimate thought as I was looking at the door, is someone going to come in and shoot? And it freaked me out that was a sober thought. But you're not safe. Kalamazoo, Michigan, middle of Alabama, Dallas, Texas, New York City, it's happening everywhere. So from an anxiety perspective, of course, mental health is the number one issue. Literally, you could get murdered going to church, movie theater, shopping mall, or grocery store. There's nowhere safe.
I hear what you're saying, and those are I do have those thoughts. And it's amazing how sometimes they creep into your head and how you try to kind of get them to go away, because it's hard. It can be debilitating if they stick around too long. And we are in a world that is so much different. You said you're 45. I'm going to be 51 on Monday. You know, we didn't grow up like this, right? We didn't grow up with this. And so with a lot of the constant potential shock that, of things. And so how do you recommend that people kind of take a breath, get back to center, get aligned, so when it comes into their mind, they can kind of get back to center?
So at Advertising Alliance for Mental Health, a lot of what we talk about in the position of my platform is proactive mental health. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm friends with lots of doctors and therapists. But what we do is we set up the principles for proactivity, which is exactly what you said when we started this. I meditate every morning when I get up. So creating the space for you as an individual to, number one, just be clear that you are responsible for your mental health. No one else is responsible for it. Just like you would probably say, the person is responsible for their success, right? So number one, proactive approaches, which includes a positive point of view, positive relationships, positive reactions and responses, right? Healthy mind, body, soul connection, and then being a part of some sort of community. But it's got to be in real life, whether that men's club, women's club, church of any faith, sports club, gym, something. But we're screened to death now, and there's a lot of neuroscience to show what that's doing to us. But you got to really have some real relationships in your life and have a healthy community. So those are kind of the 5 quick points. To your point, and shout out to grown men like us. Happy early birthday, Jon.
Thanks, man.
But when we talk about we didn't grow up with this, typically what a therapist would say is, catastrophic thinking. As a survivor of extreme anxiety, I was agoraphobic, which is this catastrophic thinking. What my old doctor used to tell me, a therapist, is catastrophic thinking. Yeah, you can't literally turn an inch to a yard. But to your point, Jon, the reality of it is now, no, it is the yard. It is a serious thought. Is someone going to shoot up this movie theater that I'm in? So the only way to really circumvent that, from my perspective, as now a mental health expert that spent the last 15 years in this work and in corporations, is you just have to drill into what you can control.
Yeah.
Which is your own central nervous system, your own breathing, and your own mindset. I do think that a lot of us are exhibiting some behavior change. So post-COVID, we're moving to places like Spokane, where I am now. People are buying acreage. People are, really kind of fortifying their life and kind of starting to cocoon based off of where we are as a society. I don't know whether that's good, bad, or somewhere in between, but ultimately the individual must take responsibility and try not to catastrophize as much, even though I have empathy for the reality that we're all facing.
Yeah. A lot of empathy. What's nice is that we can talk about it and it's very socially acceptable to talk about it. My mom was agoraphobic. She died. She passed away 25 years ago, but there was a lot of shame connected to it. 25 years ago, the world was, I think, a lot different. So I appreciate you talking about kind of the journey that you came from. But I want to go back a second because, you talked about briefly kind of your 3 years that was pretty tough. And I'm a big believer that we teach our pain, right? And so you took your pain, you built the Mental Health Alliance. And so I'm curious what advice you would give somebody who's in pain right now on how to extract, which can be difficult, how to extract a lesson, knowing that maybe there's a bigger purpose in the, coming out of that.
You said it so beautifully. I just share a quick story. I remember I was driving. I had like this, I think I bought a car for cash, $1,000, because I couldn't make any money. I was, debilitated, really. Like, I think if I had the kind of job I'd have now, I'd have to go on leave, right? Because I wasn't able to function. But I remember I was driving from Austin to Houston, or Houston, Austin, vice versa. And I remember I had this moment with my hands on the steering wheel. And I said, James, I love you too much to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Full of despair, which is where the depression, which is where anxiety goes over to depression, because you're hopeless.
Yeah.
But what worked for me, and to your point, finding a purpose, whether it's real or not. Like, I think the interesting thing about purpose is that you can start to volunteer at an animal shelter and your problems become real small. You can start to volunteer like with an organization like CASA or a foster home, and your problems become real small. You can start cleaning up trash on the beach and say, wow, look at this big problem compared to just me. Yeah. And I think that proportion and that perspective is really valuable, because we as anxious people, and we as people who go from mentally healthy to mentally ill. And I always try to teach people that the news has it all wrong. They just use these big talking points and they're not really educated, right? So this is a spectrum. Mental health, mentally healthy, then you go over to mentally ill at some point through trauma, through hereditary factors, etc. But essentially, you're right. You have to dig into a purpose, either facilitated or that's near and dear in your heart.
Yeah.
And then I really believe the self-love piece is really massive. And that sounds like a cliche, but it's super real. And the last thing that I just said, I was on with Matthew McConaughey's nonprofit, Just Keep Living, last Friday. And we had about 200 high school students that I was speaking to.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, man, it was a dope experience. Like kids in Detroit, Chicago, you know what I mean? Like Chirac kids, you know what I'm saying? It was so dope to talk to them. But what I said is there's no one solution for everyone. And you have to create that cocktail.
Yeah.
What really works. It's probably like what you tell people in business. Don't look at Elon Musk and try to be Elon Musk, because you're not him and it's not going to work. There will never be another Elon. You need to be you, right? So this is similar in that we know some things to be true. You got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to move your body, and you have to control your mind or it'll control you. Those are facts.
Yeah. Those are the facts.
And you got to have people around you to make you feel good. Like we're meeting virtually, but I can already tell. I'll be like, yo, I could sit with Jon for like a full day and like chop it up on like dinner and a beer and be like, yo, like I'm getting something from this. And you can't understate the power of energy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we're all responsible for the energy we bring into the room. But I feel like I need to say this also, you know, when you are in a place like you're talking about, I know I'm going to be 51. I've been in therapy for 25 years. I find that it's really hard in business and sometimes in life. Overwhelm is very real. Delegating is very real in business, and asking for help in business and life is important. So I would encourage everybody who is in a place to reach out to a friend or a therapist to get some help. I think it's really important. Yeah.
Speaking up is massive. I was uneducated, didn't have the tools or the language when it happened to me. I spent a year suffering in silence. Again, missing birthday parties, missing weekends. I missed everything. That avoidant behavior, as you know from your mom. By the way, I'm sorry for your loss. And when you told me that, it hit me because I know at least some of her journey based on being in agoraphobic myself. But the shame that's associated with missing those life moments because you're afraid to go out of your home.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't put it on my worst enemy, but
that
being said, man, but that being said, it's just really important that you do say something. I suffered a full year. And then finally I said, Mom, I don't feel right. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I didn't have the tools or the language. And then one of my mentors, that's a retired Army general, was like, oh, you have anxiety. And I was like, well, what's that? Because we don't teach it in school.
We don't teach it. Right. We don't teach it. No, I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you sharing your story. We didn't really get to the business, but I'm going to have you back. Maybe you'll come back next month and we'll talk about business and kind of media monks. Dive in a little bit more to this as well. But I really appreciate it. So I want to do a quick speed round. You ready?
Let's go.
A book that's had the biggest impact on you, or a TED Talk.
Essentialism by Greg McKeown.
The best. My business coach gave that to me a gajillion years ago. His book, I love that book. I love that book.
I can read it again this weekend.
Yeah. I love that book. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Ooh, walk slow and carry a big stick.
All right, that's a good one. Last question. Finish the sentence. One thing everybody can do to ask for help when they need it is
give yourself grace and be honest.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. Think community. If you follow the show, I'm a business coach. I work with people who are successful, stuck, and get them unstuck. I love this podcast because it is very consistent with my my mission, my purpose to help you get unstuck. And I get to have guests like James on the show to give you some things to get unstuck as well. James, you shared your, very deep story, an inspiring story today. And I appreciate your vulnerability with it. And you shared a lot of great pieces of wisdom, but I want to extract one thing, I think, community, which is the importance, no matter what state of mind you're in. And I'm not here to say that if you're in a very hard state of mind, that this is easy, but we all need, like James is saying, to do our best, no matter if it's even for a second a day, start small, to find our purpose. I think if we can connect into that, I have found for myself, it just makes the road a little bit easier. James, tell everybody where they can connect with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, at James Nicholas Kinney on Instagram. I'm dropping speeches and meditations and lessons every single day. And then you can just always go to Advertising Alliance for Mental Health. So that's advertisingmentalhealth.com. And you can get your free affirmations and meditations every Monday in your inbox. So advertisingmentalhealth.com.
I subscribed while we were talking, which
thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. And thank you, community. You can reach me at jondwoskin.com. James, this was a pleasure.
Yeah,
we'll have you on again next month and we'll talk about the business, but I appreciate your time, your stories, and your energy. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jon. Thanks, everyone.